How
Yep.
are we all doing today? It's the weekend.
Yes.
It is the weekend. Elizabeth Warren, she's trying to cancel me, maybe cancel the truth. Trying to cancel you. She's trying to cancel all of crypto.
I picked up some graph today on
You
that.
picked up some graph.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Getting in, buying the dip, 13 cents. Where was it at an all-time high? I believe February of 2021.
Yeah.
February of 2021, it hit above $2. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got in maybe even some wick candles up to 250. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Yeah. If it's hitting 234 on this all-time chart, that probably means it touched briefly around 250. Okay, yeah, you're looking at a 15x roughly, or no, really closer to a 20x, 20x from these levels. So, you know what? It is Friday. I do like to DCA on Fridays.
Right.
I'm stinging from the cruise, and I don't mean a sunburn. I mean my ass is chapped. Excuse my language, but no, not from the sun. And so I don't know if I can afford to DCA this week. But you know what? I'm gonna buy a little bit.
Yeah.
I will gonna. You know what? We were also talking about AGIX.
Yes, I know.
Maybe I won't add fiat to that, but maybe I'll go ahead, collect some ADA rewards that I've been collecting for a while because I stake. I have my ADA passively working for me while I sleep so I can earn more ADA. Maybe I'll withdraw my staking AGIX rewards, grab my staking Cardano rewards, combine that into a pool, and then I'll restake all that with 50-50 Cardano AGIX. And then fiat, I'll add some graph. That's probably what I'm going to do today.
Those are some moves.
Guys, this is an AI show. You didn't know?
I don't feel like
Don't
AI,
ban me, Frank.
AI is going to be such a strong narrative when the mainstream public grasps what ChatGPT is doing and how it's being implemented into businesses. 2 or 3 years from now, people, regular retail is going to be talking about this for some time. So I feel comfortable kind of just getting slight exposure to it before it becomes kind of more mainstream and get positioned ahead of it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do, at least.
We're trying out here, folks. All right, you don't talk about theta.
Oh.
You need to talk about theta. You're missing out. What are we missing out on? All right, potentially huge gains. All right, looks like all-time high, roughly pushing around 14. You're looking at a 14x.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I spelled out a 20x. No, I don't know. I'm not saying these are my predictions. I'm just saying these are the multiples required to reach all-time high. I don't have any opinion without doing further research on where its new bull run price target will be compared to all-time high. I'm just doing simple math here. But yeah, there you go. You got your little theta shout out. You
That's
happy?
Right.
Are you happy now?
Theta's been an interesting project. I mean, they had a lot of like the Sony partnership that was being floated last bull market, and it's doing something interesting. It might be there. I don't have any, but I've been meaning to get in for a long time, and maybe at 99 cents. That looks pretty attractive under $1. So, because I remember I was looking at it at $5.
I was just talking earlier today about how important it is for us to understand if we want to make money in these markets that there's really only 2 types of people in the market. There's predator and there's prey. Now, as rough as that may sound, you are either taking opportunity, which means somebody else has capitulated at that level, and you're buying in a zone where somebody else is selling because their emotions are triggered, or you are emotional and you are basically donating your money to somebody else to build their deck, to buy a new boat, to buy new rims for their car, to stack their own sats. And I want to really emphasize for everybody, this week was a great characterization of the need to have strategy and plan in the markets. Because if we come here on the charts, we can see that, if we zoom out, this week felt so scary, but if we zoom out, I know you hear it all the time, but few of us to remember to do this. In the moment we're emotionally triggered, we look at things that trigger us further rather than saying, okay, let me get a bird's eye view. And this is a monthly chart for Bitcoin with Heikin-Ashi candles. And the difference between these candles and the traditional candles, it's very similar shape, but we can see there's a lot more days on these traditional candles than on the Heikin-Ashi. And that's because with Heikin-Ashi candles, you're essentially getting, I don't want to call it an aggregate view, but you're getting, each candle is the color it is based on the average, like where most of the volume was traded during that time period. Because each one of these candlesticks, yeah, this is the basics. We got to take it back to basics, baby. Each candlestick, when you're looking, you always need to look at the candlesticks and look at the top left corner of any chart you're looking at to figure out what time period you're looking at. Because if we're looking at the monthly, each candle is 1 month. And so we see this is a lot less noise looking at the Heikin-Ashi candles on the monthly. And we see that we have started, each time we've started an uptrend, we had a small pullback here, but as small as this looks, this was about 100% move back here in 2015. But we started this uptrend. Now on these candles, it looks like we're actually accelerating into an uptrend coming into near the close of April. But if we look on the traditional candles, I mean, it's very strong bulls, Morningstar Doji sort of set up here. And then indecision could back, but then continuation could be pulled back. So it's a lot more noise here. And if we actually zoom in on all this, we can see this is a 4-hour chart. This is this week. Everybody's so excited. Somebody bought here, which is the only way these candle prices got up to this level. So somebody bought out of FOMO. They donated liquidity to somebody to take a short, to take advantage of this market to the downside. Somebody was selling, taking profits, or somebody was shorting, making money while this person was left holding the bags. And somebody that buys at these levels typically doesn't have the conviction to hold or add to their position at these levels or these levels.
JPEG Junkies tweeted this out 19 hours ago. The Junkies Council has been in place for more than 2 weeks, but we're working hard behind the scenes to bring you more utility. We just got staking with the Cardano Crocs Club. So if you want to get a JPEG Junkie, go to jpeg.store, type in Junkie, you'll see them coming up. Bored Ape creator, where my monkeys at? Bored Ape creator Yuga Labs dominates NFT sales with 35% share. Huge amount. I'm actually surprised it's not higher. They more than a third of all NFT trading volume. This is over a 6-month period from October to March of 23. This is according to DAP Radar. They're pretty legit. They also have CryptoPunks. They have MeBits, Mutant Apes. Other side, they have the Vessels, the Land Deeds, and of course the titular Bored Apes. They created or owned projects, collectively generated more than $2 billion worth of trading volume over the last 2 quarters combined. Representing 34.6 of the total crypto market cap or trading volume there. They lead the PFP market with the floor price tag of 51 ETH or about $100,000. So yeah, they always hang around 100,000. CryptoPunks also hang around 100,000.
Yeah.
When we get bullish, I can see Bored Apes maybe hitting 300K again. That's where they hit before. My Mutant hit 120 right before an airdrop, held it like an idiot, rode it all the way down. Maybe I could see that hitting 80, 100 again. I don't know. And you know what? If it does, I probably won't sell because I'm an idiot. So I am slightly bullish on November all-time highs. That being said, yeah, I do think there's potential upside here. Hillary Clinton or Clinton Foundation being involved with Algorand, it's not going to be good when it comes to crypto ideals, but I think it will be good when it comes to VC money investing in it. And to me, that is a bullish narrative. I have a little bag of Algorand. I don't know if I'll add a whole bunch, compared to a Filecoin, a AGIX, a Graph, but I'm definitely not selling right now. I have no plans of selling. This is a 1 to 2 year hold for me. So that is my 2 cents on Algorand. But let's just look at the tokenomics real quick. Circulating supply 7.2 billion. Max supply is going to be 10 billion. Total 7.4. So we don't really have that much tokens being dumped here. A lot of people. It is centralized though. Let me say that there's operator nodes and then there's relay nodes, and I might be wrong. I didn't study up on it, so I'm not sure if I have that jargon correctly. But one, anybody can do it. You can do it. I can do it. And yay, Algorand, we're decentralized, right? Because you got a node and I have a node. That means we're decentralized. No, there's relay nodes on top of those nodes. There's only 140, and they're handpicked by the Algorand Foundation, so that's why it's a little centralized. But VCs like that. Big money likes that. There's going to be a lot of millionaire and billionaire donors that hear Clinton and they're going to be like, whoa,
Right.
I want to put all my money into this coin.
Right.
Then there's going to be people like Drew. They hear Clinton. They're going to want to put no money into this coin.
Yeah.
I tend to think the first group will outweigh the second group when it comes to moving the needle price wise, because for every 50, it'll take a lot of Drews to equal that one millionaire that gave a Soros-backed NGO $10 million. I have a little bag. Drew, you have a little bag?
I am
bag?
well invested in XRP and have been since flu season.
Okay.
I got in at like 17 cents. You
Okay.
know, the reason I got into it is just the overlap of like their interns and people that worked at Ripple that were put in place at different central banks, and then Rosie Rios joined in the board. So I see a lot of overlap between the actual Ripple organization and central banks across the world for the last 3 or 4 years. So as watching that, I just figured position, it's about 10% of my portfolio, but I'm definitely at the, I can't get lucky if I ain't at the fair. So I'm definitely in there.
Let's just give a quick lesson on leverage, not leverage trading. Go to Frankie for that. I'm talking about Archimedes. You know what Archimedes said?
No, tell me.
Give me a long enough lever and I can move the world.
Oh.
And that is a true statement. You give me a long enough lever, that much pressure can move the world.
I love it.
And we live in an age of infinite leverage. This is all from Naval Ravikant. I'm not saying anything new here. Before there was leverage, the first leverage of a Homo sapien was picking up a club and leveraging the power of his fist against an enemy.
Yep.
And now we have moved beyond that. Now there's human leverage, capital leverage. And so that's what existed in the 50s. That's how the old class of billionaires got rich. That is how the Henry Fords got rich. That is how Warren Buffett got rich. But then there's been a new class of leverage, and that is infinite leverage with zero cost of replication. I'm talking about computer code, and I'm talking about media. And with those two tools and AI, which is essentially computer code, with these tools, you now have infinite leverage at your fingertips.
Yep.
80 years ago, the worst lumberjack compared to the best lumberjack might be he's chopping 5 times as many trees, right? So there's a little bit of our leverage. Or a lumberjack and you give him a slightly sharper axe. Okay, now he's moving up. He's like 1.5x. Now we live in an age of infinite leverage where Mark Zuckerberg in a laptop can trillion X someone else's same output with that same laptop. And now we live in an age of infinite leverage. So use these tools. I'm not saying go learn to code, although that would be great. If you want to learn how to code, that's great. But you should probably do that if you have any kind of inclination to it. If you don't want to do that, make some content, make video content, make a podcast, spread it out. Guess what? YouTube is going to infinitely leverage your video. You make one video, they can make it where 1 billion people can see it, just like Gangnam Style. All right. YouTube leverage that to infinity almost. The last one, you don't want to do that. I'm weird behind a camera. I don't want to do that. I don't want to learn how to code. Use AI. You now have autonomous agents that can live in your pocket that can 1 million X your productivity. So we live in an age of infinite leverage. There's enough capital out there for everybody watching here to get rich. And I think we can. We just got to take these Deezy witticisms and wisdom nuggets and encapsulate it into our own lives. And we can get there all together. Underrated, stimulate you. Robert, you stimulate me. Let's stimulate that like button. That's all I got. Deezy out.